تلنگر با کلاله طبیب زاده.
They said drugs would make you cool.
Go in my room. No, well, shut up, Mom.
Shut up. Get back here. Be home.
Just say it's my face, dude. What? Just say it, dude. What? Come on.
What's wrong with you?
Man, forget you guys.
Hey, wake up, Sabina. Pay attention in my class.
They said drugs would make you cool. They lied. Find out the truth about drugs. drugfreeworld.org.
سلام به دوستان و شنوندگان عزیز. من کلاله طبیب زاده هستم. به برنامه تلنگر یا ویک آپ کال خوش اومدید. از دوستانی که قبلا بیننده یا شنونده برنامه‌مون بودن سپاسگزارم و مجددا خوش آمد میگم و از کسانی که اولین بار هستین برنامه رو میبینن تشکر میکنم. خوش اومدید. ان شاءالله که از این برنامه خوشتون بیاد و براتون مفید واقع بشه. چون نیت و هدف اصلی من از اجرای این برنامه این هست که اطلاعات و ابزاری رو در اختیارتون قرار بدم که براتون مفید باشه و بتونید تو زندگی ازش استفاده بکنید، حالا یا خودتون یا به اگه کسی رو دور و براتون میشناسید که بتونه ازش بهره ببره. من برنامه‌ای که تو اینجا راجبش صحبت میکنم اسمش هست حقیقت در مورد داروها و مواد مخدر یا The Truth About Drugs و این یه برنامه‌ای هستش که من 8 ساله دارم به عنوان داوطلبانه باشون کار میکنم که توسط یک سازمان غیر انتفاعی به نام بنیاد دنیای عاری از مواد مخدر تهیه شده. این سازمان مرکز اصلیش توی لس آنجلس هست ولی ما بیشتر از 100 تا شعبه در سراسر جهان داره و تمام مطالبش به 22 زبان مختلف از جمله فارسی ترجمه شده که فارسیش به زودی در دسترس همه میتونه قرار بگیره، ولی من هر فصلی از این مستند دیویدی حقیقت در مورد مواد مخدر رو که در اینجا بهتون نشون میدیم هر هفته در سایت آینه هم قرار خواهد گرفت. من هر هفته سعی میکنم مهمونایی رو هم تو این برنامه دعوت بکنم که با تعریف داستان زندگیشون، از طریق تجربه هایی که با مواد مخدر داشتن بتونن این پیام رو به شما، به بینندگان منتقل بکنن که واقعا حقیقت در مورد مواد مخدر و دارو چی هستش. یه پیامی که من هر هفته تو این برنامه خیلی روش تاکید میکنم اینه که در مورد هر چیزی که میخوایم تصمیم بگیریم باید حقیقت رو خودمون در موردش پیدا بکنیم. حالا میخواد رشته تحصیلی باشه، میخواد زن گرفتن باشه، شوهر کردن باشه، هر چیزی، ولی وقتی در مورد مواد مخدر هست این خیلی اهمیتش بیشتر میشه به خاطر اینکه واقعا یه چیزیه که حتی دفعه اول امتحان کردن میتونه زندگی آدم رو به یه سویی ببره که دیگه راه برگشت اصلا نداشته باشه، یا اینکه و نه تنها زندگی خود آدم روش اثر میذاره، میتونه زندگی تمام دور و بری‌ها رو، تمام فامیل، تمام دوستا رو واقعا نابود بکنه و آدم رو به راهی بکشونه که راه برگشت اصلا نداشته باشه. و این دور زمانه متاسفانه با پیشرفت تکنولوژی که البته خیلی خوبی داره، یه بدیش هم اینه که با سوشال میدیا، با رسانه‌های اجتماعی که هست، انقدر به نظر میاد 24 ساعت 7 روز هفته ما داریم همینجور پیام‌های مختلف دریافت می‌کنیم، مخصوصا بچه‌ها، و خیلی سخت میشه فهمید که بین این پیام‌هایی که داریم تمام مدت میگیریم چی درسته چی غلطه، چی حقیقته چی دروغه. و برای همین ارزش پیدا کردن حقیقت خیلی بالاتر میره. میگم مخصوصا وقتی راجع به مواد صحبت میکنیم، چون اگه الان دور و بر نگاه بکنیم من خودم متوجه میشم تو فیلم‌های تلویزیونی، فیلم‌های سینمایی آهنگایی که هنرپیشا خواننده ها میخونن، اگه به شعرها توجه بکنیم میبینیم که چقدر خیلی هاشون راجع به مواد مخدر صحبت میکنن، چقدرشون راجع به ماریجوانا صحبت میکنن و اصلا مثل این که زندگی رو مواد و یه چیز جذاب و خواستنی جلوه میدن. این که مثلا ماریجوانا استفاده کردن یه چیز طبیعیه، یه چیز عادیه، در صورت حقیقت با این خیلی تفاوت داره و مسئولیت ماست که حقیقت رو برای خودمون پیدا کنیم در میان این همه دروغایی که گفته میشه و این حقیقت رو به بچه هامون، به دوستامون، به اونام بگیم و این حقیقت رو پراکنده بکنیم. و مهمون امروز من بهترین مثال یا یکی از بهترین مثال‌ها برای این هستش که چقدر مهم حقیقت در مورد مواد مخدر رو خودمون بدونیم و اینکه چطور ندونستن حقیقت حقیقتاً همون چیزی که باعث میشه جوانامون و نوجوانامون به طرف مواد مخدر برن و حتی برای دفعه اول بخوان امتحانش بکنن. دیوید سانچز مهمون امروز ماست و من خیلی خوشحالم که چند سال پیش باش آشنا شدم در همین کار داوطلبانه که می‌کردم. تو زندگیش خیلی مشکلات و سختی‌های باور نکردنی بوده که روشون غلبه کرده و اصلا آدم باورش نمیشه که بعد از من که باورم نمیشه وقتی باهم صحبت کرد که بعد از این همه کاری که کرده اصلا معجزه است که هنوز زنده است و کودکی و بزرگسالی سختی داشته و ولی همه اونا رو نه تنها پشت سر گذاشته، نه تنها رو اعتیادش غلبه کرده، بلکه به هزاران نفر معتاد کمک کرده و میکنه که از اعتیاد بیرون بیان، پاک بشن و انقدر داستانش شگفت انگیز هست که من نه تنها میخوام شما رو دعوت بکنم به این برنامه، حتی برنامه بعدی گوش بکنین، چون من ازش دعوت کردم که هم این برنامه با هم باشه هم برنامه هفته دیگه، چون که خیلی چیزا داشت که هم میخوام ازش سوال بکنم هم میخوام با شما در میون بذاره. دیوید مدیر بزرگترین خانه سلامت یا خانه امن در لس آنجلس هست و این خونه‌های گروهی هستن که برای زندگی افرادی که از اعتیاد رهایی پیدا میکنن و شرایط و قوانین خاص خودشونو دارن. مثلا افراد باید سر ساعت خاصی به خونه بیان، در انجام کار خونه کمک میکنن و به صورت تصادفی آزمایش اعتیاد هم میدن. خیلی از این افراد بعد از درمان اعتیاد یا بعد از مراکز بازپروری برای اینکه راحت‌تر به زندگی جدید عادت کنن و خوب بگیرن به اینجور خونه‌ها میرن و وقتی برنامه‌شون تموم شد، وقتی به اون سطحی رسیدن که حالا میتونن تو زندگی به زندگی عادی خودشون یا تو خونه خودشون یا پدر مادر ادامه بدن، از اینجا به قول معروف فارغ التحصیل میشن، تمام میکنن. حالا قبل از اینکه من دیوید رو معرفی بکنم و باهاش صحبت بکنیم، فصل اولیه مستند حقیقت درباره دارو و مواد مخدر رو با هم ببینیم.
It was around when I was 13 or 14, and you kind of find yourself trying to pick and choose your friends, and also at the same time, you know, you're not really worried about what you want to accomplish at that time, but what people you want to hang out with.
I wanted to fit in.
Wasn't a popular kid in school, and it made me forget about all that.
You know, like, oh yeah, everybody else is doing it, so I'm gonna do it.
Friends were doing it.
I just wanted to jump right in and have fun. I did drugs because it seemed like it was fun.
It was the cool thing to do. The cool thing to do was to get high, go to parties.
Growing up, you know, you're struggling.
Couldn't deal with life. So I didn't have to deal with life.
I wouldn't listen to anyone.
I was stubborn.
Like as a rebellious thing.
This is what the rebel kids were doing.
I just wanted to see what it was like.
I started experimenting with it.
Experimenting with friends.
First tried it because I was bored.
I was always up to try something new.
You know, when I was growing up, we had this program. It was just say no, just say no.
People are just saying no, but they're not saying why.
It's like telling a person no and then they go do it.
Sparked my interest on drugs.
I knew that they were bad, and I always heard about this addiction, but I didn't know what it meant.
That's probably the number one reason why I did drugs in the first place. I just didn't know.
Drugs are everywhere. They're in magazines, movies, TV shows, you know, billboards. They're all over the place. You know, in the movies they make it look cool, but in real life it's not cool. It's a serious problem.
And a lot of times, they try to glamorize drugs. Like, make drug dealers or getting high look cool. But that's only in the movies. In real life, it's a whole different story.
All drugs, whether we're talking about alcohol, marijuana, LSD, these are all essentially poisons.
It would depend on the amount that you take. I mean, a lesser amount might just speed you up, make you feel really active. A stronger amount or a stronger dosage would act as a sedative, make you slow, sluggish, tired. And even more amounts, it would kill you. You'd have an overdose.
Every drug works in these stages. It's only really the amount needed to make the effect that's the difference from drug to drug.
A person who's taking drugs, whether for physical pain or just to try and block off any sensations they don't want to feel, those sensations are actually just being pushed away and getting worse and worse.
You're gonna be totally numb and just not be able to feel anything.
When you take drugs, the drug goes through your bloodstream, and later on in your life, that drug can, come back up and into a flashback when you use the drug.
You could have taken LSD one day and like a year down the road, it could come back into effect and you can start hallucinating again.
And it's not just LSD, it's every drug. So you can get hit with the effects of a drug even a long time after you stop taking them.
Drugs definitely affect the mind. Everything you see around you is different than what's really going on. You can't hear correctly, see correctly. All of your senses are totally thrown off. Your perception is definitely distorted. Makes it dangerous for you and others because you don't know what's going on. You can't handle things, the way they're supposed to be handled.
Drugs affect your memory so much. It doesn't matter if you're taking them for a long time or just a short period of time.
I know, like, when I first tried studying and stuff more, I really couldn't concentrate, couldn't pay attention.
I went from a straight A student to a B- student, C student.
Then I quit going to school and I would get really frustrated.
It's like your brain won't function. You can't think straight. It's like everything is messed up.
I never got anything done. I would start on something and I wouldn't finish it. It just didn't happen.
It was just unbearable. I couldn't deal with life at all. I couldn't get a job because I was just out of it completely.
My decisions were based off of, what this drug is telling me to do rather than, what I want to do.
I got them from friends in school.
2 friends.
A friend of mine.
My older brother's friends.
Bunch of girlfriends.
Boyfriend.
Ex-boyfriend.
Older guy.
My dad.
My cousin.
My brother.
My older sister.
Older kids.
My buddy just said, you can do it every once in a while, it'll be no problem.
Told us it was going to be the best thing we've ever done.
You can do it once, you'll be fine.
It's not going to hurt you, really. It's just a little pick-me-up. You can't get addicted to it.
They said it's not something that you're going to be taking every day. It's just something that you can take when you want to have fun.
Oh, this is going to be a fun time.
It's a fun drug to be on.
Makes you easier to talk to girls. And they said it'll bring you up. It's going to make you feel different. You're going to like it. You're going to feel good.
It's all in your face that's the thing to do.
All it is taking a drug dealer's word for it.
When you're trying to get someone hooked, you'll say whatever you can to get a customer. You're lying for them to believe you so you can make money.
I would tell people it's fun, makes you energetic, makes you more likable. It's something, people want to be around. I tell them whatever they wanted to hear in order to pick that first one up.
When I was 12 years old, I didn't say, hey, I want to be 24 in rehab. I never said that to myself. But that's what became true, and I never thought about it when I was 13 years old. I started smoking pot.
I was that kid that started out with marijuana and played around with certain party drugs, whatnot, and I told myself specifically that I would never do certain things, cocaine, heroin, and it only took a short time for me to finally accept it and be like, okay, I'll try that.
I had no idea where it would lead me, to almost dying, to stealing, lying, cheating, ruining relationships. It didn't matter.
I didn't get into sports. I didn't get into the clubs. I didn't even go to prom.
Left me with living on the streets without a family, and is that what I set out to be? No, I was just set out to have a good time at college parties.
The drugs robbed me of all the pleasure of life. The drugs took away my family. The drugs took away my girlfriend, my friends.
I looked back on 5-6 years of my life and saw that all I had done is absolutely just ruined incredible opportunities that I had to have success and hurt all the people around me.
It's not just something that's going to affect tomorrow, it's going to affect forever.
You don't have to find out everything for yourself. You don't have to find out what a car accident experience is like.
Do yourself a favor. Don't fall into the same footsteps as so many other people have.
And realize that you could be the guy living under the bridge shooting heroin.
You might think you won't get like that. None of us ever did, and we wound up in those same shoes.
What I would tell people is just, I would give them my story.
I would tell them my exact story.
I would tell them my story.
A story like mine.
The insanity of my story.
Ultimately, it comes down to their own decision making.
You have to get the facts, check the statistics.
Find out for yourself.
Find out for yourself.
Find out the actual truth of what these are and what they're going to do to your life.
I would just say to anybody, if you're going to do something, if you're really going to do something, go educate yourself on it beforehand. I think there's a lot of truth in that.
سلام دوباره، من کلاله طبیب زاده هستم. به برنامه تلنگر یا ویکاپ کال خوش اومدید. این فصل اول این مستند دیویدی ما هست The Truth About Drugs یا حقیقت در مورد داروها و مواد مخدر که روی سایت آینه هم قرار خواهد گرفت. من حالا میخوام مهمون امروزمون رو معرفی بکنم و باهاش صحبت بکنیم. دیوید سانچز. من باهاش انگلیسی صحبت میکنم و بعد سعی میکنم تا اونجا که بتونم خودم فارسیم بکشه به فارسی ترجمهش بکنم. Hi, David.
Hi, Coco. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for coming to our program.
Thank you for having me.
So I basically just explained very briefly about who you are and that I've had the pleasure of meeting you while working with Drug Free World and how your life story is just amazing. It's a miracle. I basically said, I think it's a miracle that you're alive after everything that has happened to you. And that you run the largest sober living home in Los Angeles. And how many years have you been clean?
Going on 9 years.
Going on 9 years. That's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. So 9 ساله که پاک مونده. Okay, great. So why don't you tell me or tell us about you, about your life, what you've been through, when you started using drugs, and then I'll try to translate as best as I can into Farsi.
Okay. Well, it all started at a very young age. I was 9 years old the first time that I started smoking marijuana. Something happened to me when I started smoking. There was a lot of stuff going on in my life. My parents had divorced. I was getting tossed back and forth between my mother and my father. I was the youngest of 6 boys, so I was picked on a lot. I was picked on in school. So I had all this stuff that was going on in my life, even at a young age of 9 years old. So one of the neighbors thought that it would be a fun thing or a good idea to see a 9-year-old kid get high on marijuana. And they kind of pressured me into trying it for the first time. And when that happened, all that stuff that I was going through kind of disappeared for the time that I was under the influence of this marijuana. And so I started to realize that was the way to escape any of the stuff that was going on in my life that was giving me these uneasy feelings.
So let me just translate that real quick. I'm going to say it very quickly. So دیوید وقتی 9 سالش بود شروع کرد با ماریجوانا شروع کرد. مشکلات خودشو داشت. اون موقع گفت کوچیک بودم، جوان‌ترین بچه بین 6 تا پسر بودم و پدر مادرم طلاق گرفتن و انقدر بین پدر مادرها این ور اون ور میرفتم، یه روز با مادر، یه روز با پدر، یا یه هفته با پدر، یه هفته با مادر، که یکی از همسایه‌هامون اومد بهم یه روز ماریجوانا داد که های شدم و وقتی های شدم، نشه شدم، برای اون مدتی که های بودم دیگه اون مشکلات و اینا رو حس نمی‌کردم. Okay, great.
So, we didn't have programs like Drug Free World back when I was a kid. There was just kind of, don't do drugs, it's bad for you, just say no, all this type of stuff that was going on back then, but nobody was really, there was nothing there to explain what drugs were actually going to do to my life. So I had no idea, and I had no idea that because of that first hit of marijuana, or that first me trying marijuana for the first time, was going to end up affecting the rest of my life.
Right.
So eventually, the marijuana started turning into harder drugs and more drugs and more drugs, because I was trying to escape the stuff that was going on in my life that was making me feel sad, that was making me feel, uneasy and hurting me. And drugs ended up being that escape route that I could go to where I didn't have to feel these certain types of feelings. Right. Eventually, it turned into harder drugs, and I developed a physical addiction to drugs. So by the time I was 15 years old, I was already a heroin addict, doing heroin every day, not going to school, not staying at home. My family didn't want me around because nobody trusted me anymore, because everywhere I went, I would have to do things to be able to get these drugs, and I would have to steal from people. I would have to steal from my family, my friends, and all this kind of stuff that was going on in my life, that I lost control of what was going on.
Right.
Go ahead.
Let me just translate real quick. So از 9 سالگی شروع کرد و به زودی تا سن 15 سالش که شده بود دیگه داشت هروئین استفاده میکرد. به زودی ماریجوانا تبدیل به مواد قوی‌تر و قوی‌تر شد، چون احساس کرد که موقعی که اون نشگی رو داره، موقعی که های هست، موقعی که اون مشکلات دیگه احساس نمیکنه. و فامیلش و مثل خونم دیگه نبود، چون هیچ کس نمیخواست که دور و برش باشن، چون برای اینکه بتونه مواد بخره استفاده بکنه دزدی میکرد و برای همین کسی نمیخواست که تو خونهشون راشون بده. Okay, go ahead.
So as I started getting older and became an adult, I started having to do adult crimes in order to feed my body with the drugs that I needed, because I had a physical addiction to drugs. Now, nobody told me when I was a kid that, if you try this stuff, you're going to end up spending the rest of your life in this battle that's, a life and death situation. Nobody ever said that to me. Maybe if we would have had these programs and stuff like that, and I could have gotten the knowledge that the truth about drugs brings, I would have been able to make more positive decisions when I was younger. But we didn't have that stuff, so I kind of just made the decisions that I felt that my body was telling me to make.
Right.
And it just so happened that it was drugs. Drugs is what made me feel good. I didn't do drugs because it was fun. I did drugs because I didn't want to feel certain feelings and certain things that were going on in my life. I stopped going to school. I stopped, staying at home. I stopped doing the stuff that normal people did. I didn't get to have a normal life, a normal childhood like a normal person would have, because I was out there on the streets trying to make money or trying to do whatever I could to get more drugs.
Right.
So by the time I was 18 years old, I was already on my way to prison because of some crimes that I had to do to get the drugs. I've done 22 years in prison, all behind my addiction. I've, seen things that most people, wouldn't even be able to handle. Now, the thing is I had to find a way to turn these things around. If I kept looking at life as, life has been bad to me, nobody really cared about me, all this negative stuff that has gone on in my life, then nothing was ever going to change.
Right.
I had to find a way to turn everything that I've been through into a positive.
Well, that viewpoint, just having that viewpoint is amazing, not to look at yourself as a victim.
Right. So I mean, I could sit here and say, woe is me, and I could sit here and say, I'm like this because of my past, and it's never going to change, and I want everybody to feel sorry for me, and all this kind of way of thinking. But I was able, because when I sat down and really started to look at my life, and where I was going and where I was going to end up if I didn't start to make some type of change. And all I could see was a life sentence in prison. That's all my mind could really see at that time, is I'm going to end up spending the rest of my life in prison. It's just a matter of time.
Right.
So I had to make some changes. I had to look at things in a different way. So I could take everything that I've been through. What do I know in life? I know drugs. I know prison. I know what it's like to be on drugs and end up in prison. So I said, well, how can I use that in a positive way? So I kind of just like filled up my backpack with all this stuff that I've been through and just kept putting more and more stuff in it, more and more stuff in it. So when I finally needed to use that stuff, I could use it. I could say, okay, let me use this in a positive way. Let me use this to be able to help others. Let me use this to be able to make a statement and a change in the community.
That's amazing. So let me just translate some of this now. So دیوید از 9 سالگی شروع کرد، گفت 15 سالگی هروئین ادیک شده بود و شروع کرده بود دیگه دزدی کردن. 18 سالگی دیگه شروع کرده بود دزدیایی کردن، کرایمایی انجام میداد که مجبور شد که انداختنش زندان. 22 سال از زندگیشو تو زندان گذرونده که یعنی این نه اینکه 22 سال مداوما، ولی هی بیرون میمد و برمیگشت تو و یک اون اعتیادی که پیدا کرده بود نمیتونست فیزیکی استاپش بکنه، ولی طوری که شد گفت بالاخره یه روز گفتم که اگه همین راه ادامه بدم به لایف سنتنس میگیرم، یعنی اینکه تمام عمرش رو دیگه باید تو زندان بگذرونه. یعنی مواد مخدر هیچ سرانجامش نهایتش اون میشد که تمام عمرش تو زندان باشه، یا زودتر یا دیرتر. و اینکه گفت اون موقع که من بچه بودم هیچ برنامه مثل برنامه حقیقت در مورد دارو و مواد مخدر نبود که آدم بدونه واقعا مواد آدمو به چه راهی میتونه بکشونه. و تنها چیزی که میتونستم بفهمم این بود که برنامه‌ای بود که مثلا میگفتن دراگ مصرف نکنید ولی نبگین به مواد، ولی این نبود که واقعا چه بلایی سرتون خواهد آورد. اگه میدونستم شاید هیچ وقت اون هفته اولین مریجونا استفاده نمی‌کردم، یا شاید زودتر به دنبال کمک میرفتم. قبل از اینکه با دیوید ادامه بدیم و ببینیم که چجوری زندگیشو برگردون، میریم به چند تا پیام نگاه میکنیم.
شما می توانید از طریق اپ شنونده و بیننده رادیو تلویزیون آینه باشید. به اشتراک گذاشتن آسان در شبکه‌های اجتماعی. می توانید برنامه‌های زنده را به صورت عشقی و به صورت تمام صفحه تماشا نمایید.
They said heroin would be the best high I ever had.
Sweetheart? Sweetie? Listen to me.
They said heroin would be the best high I ever had. They lied. Find out the truth about heroin. drugfreeworld.org.
I was diagnosed at 37. I had 2 children, made the kids' lunches, took them to school, was on the PTA. I started to feel tired, that I thought I had swollen glands. Life was going to change for me pretty quick. Went to the doctor, he put me on an antibiotic. A week later, I started feeling like a lump at the side of my neck. They immediately took an x-ray and said, that's a tumor. They did the biopsy, found out it was cancer. Started me on chemo and radiation right away. Since I was so young, I wanted to try to save my voice. and I was okay for about a year. Then I was brushing my teeth, and I spit up some blood. So, back to the doctor, and he's like, next step is we gotta remove the voice box.
You're going to develop popcorn lung, holes in your lungs, you will die.
So?
So, don't vape.
Unless you want to be that guy with popcorn lung, please, don't vape.
در طول روز فرزند شما چند نخ سیگار می کشد. سیگار کشیدن شما به فرزندتان آسیب می رساند.
تلنگر با کلاله طبیب زاده.
سلام دوباره، کلاله طبیب زاده هستم با مهمون عزیز امروزم دیوید سانچز. داشت برامون داستان زندگیشو تعریف میکرد که از 9 سالگی شروع به مواد کرد با ماریجوانا. 18 سالگی اولین بار بود که به زندان رفت و در طول زندگیش 22 سال در زندان بود و داشت برامون تعریف میکرد که چطور شد که تصمیم گرفت زندگیشو عوض بکنه. So, David, 22 years of your life you spent in jail. How old are you?
I'm 52.
52. Okay. Unbelievable. Every time I hear your story, as I always tell you, it just amazes me how you've been able to turn it around. So
Well, you know, it's actually, you know, if you look at it, I've spent all my life in jail because I've been bound by the bars of drugs.
Right.
My whole life. The 22 years behind the bars in our California prison system, you know, that's a long time, but when I think about how long I've been, you know, bound by that type of lifestyle, it's just so much time wasted.
Right.
You know, that whether I was in jail or out of jail, I was still on drugs and my life was not correct.
Right.
In any way.
Right, so being on drugs is just being imprisoned anyways.
Absolutely.
Even if you're outside, you're not free.
You're not.
That's so true.
You're not.
That is very true. So what happened that you decided to change your life around?
Well, again, I had to make a decision. I was, you know, seeing myself spending the rest of my life in prison. I didn't want that to happen. I needed to make a decision in my life that was going to change things that were going on. And it was one of the hardest decisions that I've ever had to make because I had to let go of the only lifestyle that I knew. And that was being a hustler, using drugs, doing crimes, going to prison, getting back out, doing the same thing over and over and over again. And I just, you know, I lost both my mother and my father while I was in prison. So they never got to see me become anything in life but what I was. And that bothered me when I started getting older and I started, you know, looking back on my life and thinking, wow, you know, none of my families ever really got to see me become anything or do anything. And I'm, you know, in my 40s now, and it was just time to do something. So,
okay, let me translate that real quick. So دیوید گفت 22 سال تو زندان بود ولی احساس میکنه که تمام عمرش تا موقعی که پاک شد تو زندان بود. چون حتی وقتی بیرون از زندان بود مثل اینکه تو زندان مواد مخدر بود، چون تنها کاری که میکرد نشه میشد، دزدی میکرد، کار جنایتکاری دیگه میکرد که بعد دوباره که بتونه پول در بیاره برای مواد و دوباره برمیگشت زندان. یعنی این ان اوت، چه تو زندان بود چه بیرون از زندان بود، هنوز درگیر اون مواد مخدر بودن، مثل تو زندان بودن بود. و پرسیدم که چطور شد که تصمیم گرفت زندگیشو از این ور به اون ور بکنه و تصمیم بگیره پاک بشه. گفت توی 40 سالگی، دهه 40 سالگیش بود که دید که پدر و مادرش هر دوشو تو زندان بود از دست داد و هیچ کدومشو ندیدن که چه جور آدمی هست و هیچ وقت پاک ندیدنش که چه جور زندگی میتونست از خود برای خودش درست بکنه و هیچ وقت به هیچ کدومشون نتونست ازشون خدافظی بکنه و تصمیم گرفت که اگه من این زندگی رو ادامه ندم یا تمام عمرمو باید تو زندان بگذرونم یا اینکه یه جای بالاخره میمیرم توی بیرون. Okay, David, go ahead.
So one day I found myself alone, and I mean really alone. No place to go, nobody to call because I've burned every bridge with everybody that I knew. My family didn't want to have nothing to do with me anymore. Pretty much after my mother and my father passed away, my family just kind of disowned me.
So was that in jail or was that out of jail?
That was after I got out of jail.
Oh, okay.
So I found myself alone, walking the streets with nowhere to go. And something just came over me that I just needed to make some type of change in my life. So I checked myself into a treatment center. Now, I've been in a lot of treatment centers before, but never with the purpose of getting sober.
Right.
It was always the purpose of, well, the judge, I have to satisfy the judge, or I have to satisfy the probation department or the parole department, something like that. So when I went in there, because of, I felt I just needed to have this in my life to try, at least, I owed it to myself to at least try to make it through a treatment center. And so I went in there with the attitude like, I'm going to do this. I want to make these changes in my life. I don't know where my life is going to take me after I do this because I had no skills. I've never had a real job or anything like that. So I didn't know what was going to happen in the future, but I knew that I needed to be sober to start to make the decisions that would put me in a direction that I needed to go instead of keep on falling backwards and backwards and backwards.
And how old were you when you decided that?
This was 9 years ago. So
9 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So 42, 43, something like that.
Okay.
And so I went in there with the attitude like, I'm going to do this. And when I put my mind to it, because of all the experience that I've had with drugs and all the stuff that I've been through, I was able to take all that stuff and help one other person. And that's where it all started. Once I was able to help a person, I realized, wow, I have something that I can give.
Right.
So I stayed 2 years in that program, and then I ended up co-founding, partnering up with some people and co-founding the largest single address sober living called Beacon of Hope in Los Angeles. And then I decided, okay, well, I need to go get some schooling. And I need to start studying addiction and kind of mastering what it is. I know what it is to be addicted, but do I know what addiction is?
Right.
And so I ended up, going to college, becoming a drug and alcohol counselor, and even going deeper than the stuff they were teaching me there, I started studying addiction and what addiction is, how addiction works, stuff like that. So I decided that, okay, I have all these tools now. I have these tools from my past. I have these tools from my present. What am I going to be able to do with this type of stuff? So I remember being in the back of my facility, and there's an alley in the back of the facility, and there's people that have, tents, and they're transients and drug addicts, and all kinds of pipes and drugs in the alleyway. And that alleyway is also used by the school kids to get to their elementary school at the top of the hill.
Right.
And so I remember sitting out there one day and just seeing these kids walk through there and, kind of just like stepping over people and kicking a pipe to the side, and there's syringes and everything else just right in the alley. And they weren't really affected by it. I'm watching them, and I noticed they weren't affected by it. They were just kind of going through. And I thought, wow, when these kids grow up, they're gonna start to believe that this is kind of a normal way of living.
Right.
You know what I mean? I remember when I moved to that facility and I seen that, I was like, wow, this is crazy. And it affected me. So when I seen that, I thought, okay, now I know what I need to do. And so I started my organization called Strike Out Against Drugs, and made it into a nonprofit. And that's when I met Drug Free World representative. I was going to the store. I was looking for somebody to work with. Because I knew I needed somebody that we could sponsor each other, we could help each other. I was all by myself. And so I had contacted a lot of different organizations that were similar organizations to Drug Free World that were doing drug prevention and stuff like that out in the communities, but none of them were really doing what I thought really needed to be done. They weren't, I felt like they were more in it for a profit than the passion for changing what's going on and with our youth and stuff like that, with the drugs and the gangs and stuff like that. And I think one of you told me, well, if you want to come and teach our program, we'll get you started with that. And I was like, no, I know what I want to do.
Right.
And so I was at a grocery store, and there was a Drug Free World booth, just happened to be there. And I remember walking by it and looking at it and going, and then going into the store and then coming back out, and I got one of the boxes and went back in the store, kind of read through some stuff. And then I went home and I really started going through all the different drugs and the facts about all the cups, and everything was 100% correct. So immediately I made the phone call and talked to somebody at Drug Free World International, and they set up a meeting, and I came, and that's when I met you, Coco, at the meeting. And here's the thing is, when we first met, I knew right away, when we sat down at that table and we started talking, and I did most of the talking because I like to talk, I knew that there was this perfect connection that was going to happen.
Right.
I think we all knew this is perfect, because we get to take care of the facts about drugs. We get to take care of the real side about drugs, and I get to use all that stuff that used to hold me down in a positive way to be able to go out there and help the youth understand what's really going on with these drugs, the stuff that people didn't tell me when I was younger. I never thought I was going to grow up to be an addict and all that kind of stuff.
Well, nobody does. I mean, it's just like what it says in the DVD. Nobody says when they're 10, 11, 12 years old that I'm going to be 24 years old and be a drug addict. Nobody.
Right.
That's nobody's life purpose. It's just for whatever reason they decide to go that route or try for the first time, and they have no idea what that first try could take them to.
Well, I mean, a lot of times that first time will be the one that actually turns them into becoming an addict.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of kids out there because of peer pressure, because of curiosity, because of they want to fit into a certain crowd or something like that can try drugs and not like it and never do it again. But the majority of the kids that try drugs, drink alcohol, do all that kind of stuff, and especially with marijuana, end up being addicts, later on in life. And I did a social media study that I asked 100 people, can you remember the very first time that you've ever smoked drugs or did alcohol or whatever the drug was, the very first time you ever did it? And 98% of them could remember that very first time, even if it was 40 years ago. And then I asked them, can you remember the second, third, fourth, or fifth time they've ever done drugs? And nobody could remember that.
Right.
So I started thinking, wow, how is it that our brains could remember the very first time, and it could have been 40 years ago, because I can remember the very first time,
Right.
but I can't remember the second, third, fourth, or fifth time. I mean, why is that? So I had to start studying that and why our brains work that way. So a lot of times that very first time is actually, the marijuana is actually the time that really counts and actually turns their life upside down and starts
Right.
pushing them towards addiction and physical dependency.
Right, and especially today's marijuana, it's so
Especially
much
today's
so much
marijuana.
stronger than the one you did when you were 9 years old. I mean, it's it's just crazy.
It's crazy.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to translate what I remember. So anyways, دیوید گفتش که وقتی 42 سالش بود یه روز بود از زندان اومده بود بیرون و خیلی احساس تنهایی میکرد و اون موقع بود که تصمیم گرفت یه چیزی شد که تصمیم گرفت زندگیشو از این ور به اون ور بکنه، چون دید واقعا این زندگی، این راهی که داره پیش میره یا تمام عمرش باید تو زندان بگذرونه یا اینکه از طریق مواد و اینا از بین بره. و این بود که شروع کرد کالج رفت، در مورد ادیکشن خوند، ولی اول از همه یه مرکز بازپروری رفت. گفت 2 سال اونجا بودم و گفت قبلا هم رفته بودم، ولی این دفعه قبلا که میرفت میخواست مثلا چون قاضی بهش گفته بود که باید بری، وکیل گفته بود که باید بری، بعد از اینکه از زندان اومده بود بیرون میرفت، ولی این دفعه اولی بود که خودش تصمیم گرفت که باید این کارو بکنم، حالا چه موفق بشم چه نشم، ولی بعد این کارو برای خودم بکنم که ببینم میتونم پاک بشم یا با زندگیم یه کاری بکنم. که 2 سال تو اون مرکز بود و پاک شد، بعد اومد بیرون و گفت و دید که هیچ سکیلی نداره، چون نه کالج رفته بود نه دبیرستان تموم کرده بود، هیچ شغلی نمیتونست بگیره، ولی گفت ببینم که چیا میدونم. گفت من حالا مواد میدونم و زندانو میدونم و رفت کالج، راجع به اعتیاد خوند، راجع به کانسلینگ، مشاورت و اینا خوند و با همین شروع کرد با این سوبر لیوینگ هوم که اسمش از بیکن آف هوم، همین بیکن آف هوپ که بزرگترین خانه سلامت یا امن تو لس آنجلس هست، با اینا کار کرد و یه ارگانیزیشن خودش رو به نام Strike Out Against Drugs درست کرد که با بچه‌ها صحبت میکنه و در طی اون کاره با Strike Out Against Drugs بود که توی یکی از جایی که ما بودیم، Foundation for a Drug Free World بود، ماها رو پیدا کرد، این کتابچه‌هامون رو خوند که ما یکی از مطالب آموزشیمون 14 تا کتابچه هست در مورد مثلا حقیقت در مورد ماریجوانا، حقیقت در مورد الکل، حقیقت در مورد هروئین. گفت همه اینا رو خوندم، دیدم که تمام مطالبتون خیلی درسته و گفت از بین تمام سازمانایی که نگاه می‌کرد و می‌خواست باشون کار بکنه، دید ما تنها سازمانی هستیم که واقعا هدفمون اینه که به مردم، به جامعه، به بچه‌ها، به همه کمک بکنیم و از اون موقع بود که شروع کردیم با هم دیگه کار کردن. So David, so I just basically explained how you turn your life around and, you know, beacon of hope and strike out against drugs and everything that you do. We're getting towards the end of the program, but I wanted to just ask you, so I know you at 15 you were doing heroin, but what did that marijuana get you to do? What other drugs did you do that started from pot?
So it went from marijuana and alcohol to cocaine to crystal meth to, you know, pills and downers and everything in between.
Right.
I have an addiction, and it doesn't just stay in one little spot. It gets spread out through all the different types of drugs.
Right. So there's no such thing when kids say, "Oh, I'll just try this, and I'm not going to do anything else. I'm only going to try pot, but I'm not going to go into stronger drugs." That just does not happen.
Well, I've never seen it happen.
Yeah.
Everybody that I grew up with that when we started smoking marijuana ended up doing, you know, different drugs because marijuana is a tolerance drug. Right. So you might start smoking, it might get you a certain high in the beginning, but eventually you have to start doing more of it to be able to get that same high. And when you can't get that same high no more, you're going to start using other drugs to try to replace that high with some other drugs, and then it starts all over again. You know, and it just gets to harder and harder drugs.
Right.
And I think heroin, you know, was the ultimate in drugs that get you the highest of anything else. Now there's, you know, synthetic heroines that are out there. There's all kinds of designer drugs that are out there right now.
Yeah, you have no idea what's in it.
Right, are giving you the same effect as the heroin.
Right. So همه چی از پاد شروع میشه، ولی همه گفت هر کس رو من میشناسم که با پاد شروع کرده با هروئین و کوکین و شیشه و همه اونا هم امتحان کرده. چون من خیلی میشنوم که بچه‌ها میگن من حالا با پاد شروع میکنم ولی قول میدم امکان نداره به خودم آمپول بزنم، سرنج استفاده بکنم، ولی همه همینو میگن. ولی باید حقیقت رو از کسایی که اعتیاد و پشت سر گذاشتن از اونا بشنویم که واقعا چی میشه. برای همین من اینقدر میگم هر هفته تاکید میکنم حقیقت رو خودمون پیدا کنیم و به بچه‌هامون بگیم که حقیقت مخصوصا در مورد اعتیاد چی هست و میتونه چی پیش بیاره. So David, we're getting to the end of the program. One last question. If you were to talk, if you wanted to give a message to kids, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to learn the truth about the drugs that is going to be presented to them. They're everywhere. They're in all the schools. So kids are going to be presented with drugs and are going to have to make a decision on if they're going to use it or if they're not going to use it. If they're educated on the material and drugs and how drugs work, then they'll be able to make an educated decision instead of just making a decision that's based on people trying to pressure them, people trying to get them to do something, and that's the message that we try to give. We don't tell kids don't do drugs.
That doesn't work.
That doesn't work. We know that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I'm a living example of that. But if we can give them the information that they can use when that time comes and they're presented with these different types of drugs out there, then you know hopefully they'll be able to make a better decision.
Right, great. That's a great message. So از دیوید پرسیدم اگه میخواد یه پیغام به بچه‌ها بده چیه، این بود که گفت بهشون میگم که خودتون حقیقت رو پیدا بکنین با پیدا کردن مطالبی که واقعا حقیقت رو بهتون میگه، نه اینکه به خاطر فشار دوستاتون یا چیزایی که نمیدونید مواد استفاده بکنین، به خاطر اینکه و اینکه اگه بچه‌هاتون بگین نه این کارو نکن اون کار نمیکنه، درست مثل که برای دیوید کار نکرد. بعد حقیقت رو بهشون نشون بدیم، بگیم که این حقیقت هست، این زندگی این طور زندگی رو میتونی داشته باشی، ریسکایی که برمیداری اینه و خودشون تصمیم بگیرن که میخوان اون ریسک رو بردارن یا نه. به پایان برنامه‌مون رسیدیم. ممنونم که با ما بودید. امیدوارم که از برنامه امروز خوشتون اومده باشه. خیلی خوشحال میشم اگه نظراتتون و سوالاتتون رو چه برای من چه برای مهمونام دیوید این هفته در info@aine.org با همون در میون بذارید. برای دریافت اطلاعات بیشتر در مورد این برنامه حقیقت در مورد دارو و مواد مخدر میتونید به سایت www.drugfreeworld.org برید. گفتم به زبان فارسیش هم ترجمه شده ولی هنوز روی سایت نیست، ولی ما هر فصلی که اینجا نشون بدیم و روی سایت آینه هم قرار خواهیم داد. دوباره ممنون که با ما بودید. تا هفته دیگه، تا برنامه دیگه، هفته خیلی خوبی رو براتون آرزو دارم.
This is the life right here, man.
They said weed wouldn't lead to harder drugs.
You ready? How you feeling? No.
They lied. Find out the truth about weed. Drugfreeworld.org.
تلنگر با کلاله طبیب زاده.